happening, people? United Central back again with another video, and you know it's different, guys. I know there's no Nurdi, there's no Aaron, but I have my guy Samir. How's it going?
How you doing, bro?
Everything alright? Nice little place here.
Yeah, nice, man.
Decent, yeah.
First time living in Manchester for a few more days than
oh,
usual.
okay.
Yeah.
And then back to.
Came in for the game. There's 2 games this week, so.
Well, we might as well start out there. Yesterday, tell me,
my
Samir.
God.
Absolutely dreadful for me, and you all know, guys, my reactions of yesterday and how it was dreadful. Absolutely dreadful.
I think it's clear for everyone to see that Man United are clearly struggling. We're clearly struggling. Everything from intensity to tactics, in-game tactics, to possible selections, team selections. Look, I know we've got issues with injuries.
Is that an excuse, do you reckon?
What, injuries?
Yeah.
No, because I think that's a natural part of a football game. It's a natural part of club football. It's a natural part of contesting for the Premier League.
Yeah.
Every club, every squad, every team has to expect to have injuries. The only question on injuries that I ask of Man United is how come we have so many injuries? Why are players falling down like flies?
Biggest club in the world.
So some people might say, it's a case of we've got injury-prone players. So then it's a question of why do we buy players? Why do we select players? That have a history for injury.
Yeah.
So that's the one side of it. I think the other side, which you can analyze and look at, is I guess our fitness and our sports science departments. Supposedly Man United used to have the best sports science. And
I think they still do. Apparently they have one of the biggest kind of medical teams in Europe.
Absolutely. But the question still then is, how can we suffer more injuries than most of the other clubs? I mean, I don't like comparing Man United to any teams, but we have to look at teams that are performing well as a benchmark, right? So when you look at teams like Liverpool, I mean, those guys are like, I don't know what term to use to describe them, but they're freaks. They run more than most teams.
Easy.
Right? Their fitness is on much higher levels than most teams. And they're playing in, week out. They're playing Champions League.
Napoli game.
Yeah.
Most of them are playing.
Yeah. So, you got to ask the question, Man United this week, the first team never played in Astana, right?
True.
So everyone had a rest.
Yeah.
And so the team that was put out on yesterday was basically a fresh team.
Fresh team.
Right?
That'll be a
fresh team. They probably didn't even travel. I don't think those guys traveled as well.
They never.
So there was no jet lag.
No.
There was no travel fatigue. Possibly they may have done light training sessions in the absence of.
And Carrick was there, and Kieran McKenna stayed behind.
Right. So here's my point. Then what was the excuse for the lethargy that we saw on the pitch yesterday, especially in the first half?
Yeah.
Because I think the first half is the summary of our season.
Easy.
Right.
Lackluster.
You look at so many. I could point so many things, and where I was sitting on the ground, like it was a graveyard, mate. The Aston Villa fans were making more.
You got to give credit to them.
The ground would have been a graveyard yesterday if it hadn't been for the singing section or the Stretford end, right?
Easy.
Because those guys, it can rain and we can be losing 5-0, they'll still be singing. I don't know where that voice is coming from.
I just wish it reverberated around the stadium, because the East Stand was quiet.
It was quiet. You could hear a pin drop. I was the only one. You've been in my seats. You know the people there are more conservative.
Yeah. You can't even stand up for a free kick.
So the point is, like, I was the only one shouting, screaming, and cursing because
it's not good enough.
It was not good enough. I saw Rashford on the left side, closest to where we were sitting.
He looked like he down tools that game.
I don't know if it was down tools, confidence down, whatever it is. In the first few minutes, he wasn't making the right decisions, wasn't playing the right passes.
No. And then he gave up after that. I really, really think that he gave up.
So that was frustrating to me. I think I'm a big fan of Anthony Martial. I think the guy's absolute class.
Yeah.
But it seems like he still needs to learn the number 9 position, right?
And I've said that quite a lot, and people moan at me and say he sticks to one position. He doesn't kind of move around.
Oh, I did see him move around. The only moving around he did was coming
for the ball,
coming deep, right?
Maybe chesting it.
What? But I don't understand. He should be playing off the last defender, making runs in behind, causing that kind of panic, right, within the defense.
Yeah,
he never did that.
Yeah,
so that was causing problems for Fred, for Pereira, for James, and for Rashford, because our man was not moving.
No,
he was not making a move. And then you had a few minutes in, I think they scored the goal. Like, that was even a shock. Like how that
good goal, Grealish. I'd take him. Would you take him? Grealish?
I would, but then the question is, do you take Grealish or do you take Madison?
Yeah.
Right? So you got two.
Grealish would be cheaper though, 40 50.
It will be. Look, he completely dominated for them.
Easy.
In the number 10
It made
position.
Fred and Pereira just run around.
But if you analyse that goal they scored, I think it was the 10 or 11 minute. Brandon Williams, I think you said it, Brandon. You were quite glowing in terms of how he performed yesterday.
Yeah.
I wasn't. That first 10-15 minutes, I thought he was positionally completely out of sorts.
Yeah.
He was coming forward, getting passed by, because they were just passing by our lines, and Brendan was lost. He wasn't able to track back fast enough.
It was a game of two halves, I know.
Yeah.
But second half, the way he, kind of got the ball when the other player ran past him, and he, recovered well.
So the first goal, I actually blame him for, because he was completely out of position.
But it was still Wan-Bissaka side though.
It was, but hear me out. So I can't remember the guy who crossed the ball in, but literally he was.
I think it was Al-Ghazi.
Yeah, Al-Ghazi. That was before he got injured.
That was the point. Yeah.
He got injured just on the cross, right? So I was like, he makes the cross, the ball goes right past everyone. You're right. It gets to Bissaka's side, right? Grealish gets it, does a few moves, turns in, and then hits a shot.
De Gea no chance.
De Gea, I thought, should have at least made an attempt.
Yeah.
I don't think
when
he
look back at it.
Yeah, I don't think he thought it was going in.
Yeah,
he maybe thought it. So he just kind of like he just watches it in.
Yeah,
like, in shock.
Yeah.
Right. So, but I'm always an advocate for prevention is better than cure. So in the case of threats to goal, prevention. In the case of like the cross, stop crosses. In the case of shots or space in front of your 18-yard the box, you always close down, right?
Yeah.
So you prevent. The last actions of any play is the how do you stop that? So Bissaka, is secondarily at fault for the goal. But I still thought if Brandon Williams was there and more pressure on the cross, that ball would never have got across.
But and then again, the rest of the game, I thought did you expect them 2 goals, by the way? The Rashford goal and the Lindelof goal. It was almost that surprise.
No, I didn't expect both goals. And in fact, when you look at both goals, both came from corners, short corners. It seems like they've practiced that.
Yeah.
One thing that shocks me about United, I guess, I can't remember the last time they've scored
Open
goal
play
from direct corners.
Oh, yeah.
So, and Maguire's a guy that scores 4 or 5 goals a season, at least.
But he's the only threat now. Like when they lump it forward, he's the only one that's on the far corner.
Yeah. But in the first few games when Maguire had just come in, they were doing this silly
a lot of times.
Yeah, they were playing this kind of like drifted ball into the box, right? The problem with that is he's never going to score a goal of a ball that's kind of spinning on its way to get to him because there's no power in it, right? Those fizzy crosses that you should come in and he can just touch it in with power, those aren't happening. No. They were trying it yesterday. It never seemed to work. So we certainly should be scoring more goals from corners, directly from corners.
Yeah.
So ball gets hit in.
Open play, though. Open play.
Open play as well. Like where's it coming from? Although if we track back to the first half, the first, I would say 10, 15 minutes, you had a few balls that were played across the face of goal. Yeah. You were probably behind that. Right? Yeah. The biggest frustration for me is when a striker isn't making moves already before anticipating across, a fizzed ball across the face of the goal. So there were about 2 or 3 situations in that first 15, 20 minutes. Balls were coming across. I think Rashford put one in. I think maybe
James Williams put a lot in.
James put a few in. There was no one there.
No.
There was no one there. And there were a few times as well where I saw Rashford getting in, and Martial was kind of like on the edge of the box. I'm like, mate, you're the striker.
Yeah.
You should be the furthest man forward.
It's all about ambition of the guys,
you know. So even taking that chance, running across into the goal, like rushing the goalkeeper, creates a sense of threat.
Yeah.
The goalkeeper gets nervous, right?
Nervous, yeah.
So even if he's about to collect the ball, him seeing a rushing striker makes him nervous.
Yeah.
So he kind of, you know, you can create a threat from that situation.
Yeah.
We just weren't doing that.
No.
You never had the, you know, the mark of great strikers. Ruud van Nistelrooy, Aguero does it. You look at Lewandowski.
Yeah.
You look at any top striker, and I look at other masters that played for us. Let's forget other players. But you look at Zlatan even in his prime, and even when he played for us, always making runs. Yeah. Ruud van Nistelrooy was a classic example. Chicharito was even great.
Yeah. I think it was one of the best.
Just hustling position. What it does, even if you're not going to collect the ball, it moves and unsettles defenders. Martial, Rashford, and James, they have no clue.
They do all the dirty work outside the pitch, but they're not in it to.
They're not in it to be there.
They're not having their rewards.
And they're not hustling. They're not giving defenders anything to think about.
Yeah.
So, for example, I think it was last week when we played Sheffield United. Gary Neville kept speaking about this in commentary.
Yeah.
And you know, we're fans, right? Supposedly, some people may think we don't watch the game or we don't have the football brain to kind of see these things.
Yeah.
But it's so obvious to see. Yeah. I'm a football guy. I played myself, not professionally, but I played, to quite a high level. And I know the basic things. I just play striker myself. So the point is, strikers always have to create opportunities or threats. If you're not creating opportunities or threats, you're pretty much out of the game.
That's it.
So, like Lukaku is pretty good at making runs and doing things, but towards the end, he was sluggish.
Yeah.
He was tentative. He never made moves. Right? Berbatov's was a master between the lines hustler. I speak of these players. Luis Saha also wasn't a great player.
No.
He was okay. He was a decent player.
He was always at the end of it.
But what he was always at the end of it, making runs, allowing players to play forward balls to you. So, you can look at Pereira, and he had a shit game yesterday. Fred was okay, but not good enough. I think part of Fred's confidence and the way he plays comes from who's next to him.
Yeah.
When he knows that he doesn't have a solid defensive-minded player next to him, I think he himself becomes a bit doubtful of what he can and can't do. So yesterday I saw him a bit tentative. He tried to play. He was the only one playing real forward balls.
Yeah.
Pereira tried a few, but was losing it too many times.
Yeah.
That's our problem. I think we're the masters of our own downfall when it comes to where we get punished. We get punished most of the time. Most of the goals, if you look how we've conceded them, we've conceded them out of giving the ball away. And if Pep Guardiola was Man United's, he would absolutely blast some of our players.
And that goes down to the manager. After that draw, do you see his position now as untenable? Is it only a matter of time? I hear today the vote of confidence, the dreaded vote of confidence, by the way, when they give you that. Do you believe now that, do you know what, his time could be up? After that draw, do you think, as a manager right now, yes, we know he's out of his depth, and everyone knows, but do you think really now, or do you see it as Tottenham being that kind of game where Mourinho, it's funny enough, Mourinho kind of, kills him out the game?
Yeah, I think it would be quite an interesting story. It would be quite a story for the predecessor.
A year apart as well.
Yeah, the predecessor to come in and, the funny thing is Mourinho left under quite a cloud of negativity, toxicity.
Yeah.
Which is quite sad because for all of the failures
he was a likable guy.
He's a good guy, and he's actually a decent manager. But I think he knows himself. He made some serious, big mistakes. Yeah. Not with his coaching, but I think just generally with his attitude. In fact, I know insiders at United. I know insiders and people who know Mourinho quite well. The man was living in a hotel for 2 years. Like that doesn't give any sense of stability to
none at all.
any club, any job. Basically, that's saying you kind of like you're here but you're not here.
Yeah.
So the point of with Mourinho, like as much as he came in with the hype and the chance of bringing us back to the top. He did win us the Europa League. It was the only one we could win that season. He got us the Carabao Cup.
Carabao Cup, yeah.
Yeah, so we got that. We came second. The best league finish since Ferguson left.
So now you're thinking now, was sacking Mourinho justifiable?
No, I absolutely. I'm not justifying. I'm not empathizing with him. I'm not being sympathetic towards his sacking. I'm just saying that he basically was his own downfall. I think he knows that. Negativity and toxicity is something that you have to balance on. You need to be stern. You need to be hard with players. But I think the way he did it, he's just that type of person. I don't think he can hold back what he feels. But coming back to Ole, and the point I was trying to make is, it's funny because when Ole first came in after Mourinho, he brought this positivity, he brought this joy.
And everyone got blinded.
You saw it, right? We all got blinded, we all fell in love with that. Because
was a club legend.
Club legend, it was a romantic story, right?
Yeah. So we played football that was unheard of. Flowing.
It felt like the Fergie days.
Right? Everything was flowing.
You were having fun. Pogba was pinging in things from this side to that side. He was running at the end of crosses and making headers. We were just scoring goals for fun.
Rashford had a goal. It was a display of the month. Rashford.
So what was it? 13 games on the trot, winning. I think he went 9 away games. He won 9 consecutive away games. How funny, how paradoxical that the thing that actually got him the job was winning 9 away games in a row. I don't correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was around 9 or 10 away games.
And now we're struggling to.
Now we can't even win away games. No, right? We can't even draw away games.
Back-to-back wins.
No back-to-back. Yeah. So everything seems to be falling apart.
Are you Ole out?
Am I Ole out? Yeah, I'm Ole out.
And that's very, very unheard of because I remember you were saying give him time.
I did, and I'll tell you why I said that. And I think it's important to understand the context of the Ole out.
It's not that we dislike the guy.
No. It's nothing personal.
No.
He's a legend. Will always be a legend. Yeah. Scoring the goal in '99 that won us the treble, the Champions League at that time. It will never be forgotten.
Never.
Right? The guy will always be a club legend. But I think what fans need to understand and what they need to realize is that you always have to separate the man from the manager.
Yeah.
Or if you're in a job in somewhere, and your boss gives you feedback.
Yeah.
It's not always a personal thing.
No.
It's not like, oh, you Saeed, you're a bad person because you didn't do your job properly. It's actually no, you're playing a role.
Yeah.
Right? And in that role, if you're not performing, if you're not doing well. You should be smacked for it.
Yeah.
As in, you need to be held accountable for your performance.
Your position should be,
it should be a threat all times.
Yeah.
Because that is what defines performance.
Yeah.
It's like, are you doing what is expected of you? And coming back to the case of this Ole Out campaign, I think it's. You can see he's got the pressure. You can feel that Ole senses the tension. Ole senses the pressure.
Yeah.
He knows that things aren't going his favor. He knows that the fans love him.
Yeah.
I think you could see it yesterday at the end of the game. He was like,
Stretford
End was still singing his name.
Yeah.
So, but the point is
a football better for you than Mourinho?
I see glimpses of it. But I don't know if it's because of the fact that he has changed our setup, our structure, our style of play.
Yeah.
Or is it a case that we've just got flyers now that we never had?
True.
Remember, the United style has always been flyers on the wings.
Flyers on the wings.
We always had flyers. You had Ronaldo, you had Nani, you had Ji-sung Park, you had Kanchelskis, you had Lee Sharp, you had Ryan Giggs. You can go on, like we've always had flyers and strikers who could head a ball, right? How many headed goals do you see us score, man?
Done. Well, on the weekend, it was one, Lindelof, but Not many.
Yeah, but that was even like a second ball. It was a second ball, right?
True.
And even Rashford's first goal wasn't his goal, right?
No.
He hit
I thought it was his goal.
Well, to the point of when we scored that goal, the 41st minute, we hadn't even had a shot on target. I think Martial had one.
Martial, but it was like carried away.
It was nothing, right? So this is the problem. We're not even we're not creating chances. We're not testing goalkeepers. I remember how many times there were opportunities to shoot. It was Pereira was getting into those situations, and left foot, he just can't do anything with his left foot, right? So I think we've drifted from what we were saying, like Ole out.
Yeah.
The context of my Ole out is separate the man from the manager. As a man, I think he's probably the nicest person in the world in the club at the moment. But man's not doing the job. He's not doing the job. He's not getting the results. And football's a results game. Let's be frank about it.
Watford manager was sacked.
Yeah.
Arsenal manager sacked with a high percentage of wins.
Yeah.
Let's not get that. You know what I mean? Let's get that right.
Yeah.
Who else has been sacked this thingy? Tottenham manager, the one we want right now, sacked.
Yeah.
Even though really he could have changed the form. You know what I mean? When does specifically Woodward have the kind of like
the courage
to sack him and say, you know what, let's cut our losses. We've still got how many games we've got left? Maybe 20 games left?
Yeah, we're in game 12, 13 I think.
No, I think we're 15.
15,
yeah. Game week 15, we've still got, large part of the season left. Crunch period coming up. We could end up, if we win a couple of games in December, you never know, top 4 could be a possibility.
But you say that, we've got Spurs on Wednesday.
Yeah.
We've got City after that.
Yeah.
Those are big games. And those teams are much better than Sheffield United. Yeah. They're much better than Aston Villa, with all due respect to both those clubs.
Yeah.
But the point is, if we're struggling against those sorts of teams at home.
So you don't expect a win from Tottenham and Man City?
I would. My heart obviously wants
a
win. Everybody still hopes.
If our heart was only working,
for example, last weekend when we went up 3-2.
Well, I was
sitting there thinking, of course I was celebrating that. Yeah. As much as I was angry about how things had been played out for just before that. How do we get into a 2-0 losing situation to Sheffield United? Come on, guys, this is. With all due respect again to them, they're a championship team. They've just come up, right?
Just come up.
Aston Villa, same.
Yeah.
Look at. I was saying to someone yesterday during the game, I'm like, Rashford earns more money than probably half of this Aston Villa squad, right, per week. Same with you look at our front three, they probably earn the entire squad salary of Aston Villa. Let's be frank, right? And they were playing much better than us. Mm-hmm. They were playing as if it was their home ground.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. And so back to the courage of Woodward in making a decision. I think let's be frank here, right? So last year to make a decision about Mourinho.
But the fans were all on board with that.
They were on board.
Now,
there's a 50-50.
Yeah.
On like some fans are still in because of the sentimentality, the romance. Other fans are out. Like I think I'm out because I know the game. I'm not a fantasist football supporter. Like I know the game, I know how it should work. And I always say this, we are Man United. We're Man United.
That's my saying.
Let's not forget who we are.
We are an elite
Man
club.
United. We're an
Bayern
elite
Munich
club.
would be sacked right now. Real Madrid sacked their legend Felipe Scolari. Don't know if you remember that. When it wasn't going well and they gave him the job.
How many games did the manager they start with the season do? 3 or 4?
Yeah.
And then they brought Zidane back.
So
you don't even need to go to Scolari, bro. Right in the season,
exactly.
That manager was sacked, I think, after 4 or 5 games. Then they brought Zidane back. So the point is, sentimentality is a dangerous thing in football. There's a romance. I always wanted, like, Cantona to come back and manage us. And I always had this thought that this man that changed the fortunes of Man United would come back one day. But you can't think like that because the game has changed from 20 years ago when it all started, right? The game has changed completely.
Yeah.
Football goes in eras.
Yeah.
And in the era we're living in, tactics and strategy are so important. And when you look at what is required, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, as good a guy as he is simply not experienced enough. He's out of his depth.
After this, will he
There's
get
a lot of
another job
naivety.
as manager?
You will. They love him in Norway. I think Molde will
In Norway, though, would he want that though? That's the problem.
Yeah,
would he see himself as a better manager?
Ole was always a simple guy. He wasn't one of the social media stars. He wasn't David Beckham. Let's just be frank, right?
Yeah.
So the guy likes the quiet life, and that's what made him such a good footballer.
Yeah.
As much as he was such a good player, he was mostly a sub for United, and he did so well as a sub for United.
Yeah.
Ole is better than some of the players we have playing for us today. His finishing was way better than Rashford's.
Easy.
And Rashford is this like wonder boy player for United.
Yeah.
We're paying him 200k a week. It's ridiculous. Martial, I still have a soft spot for Martial. The guy's really got skill.
I think under a proper manager, which will drill into him and say, listen, you stay in that number 9.
Yes.
You do not go anywhere.
Yeah.
I'll get my attacking midfielder to do everything. But right now, we don't have an intelligent manager to do that.
Exactly.
So when do you see Woodward make a decision, or do you see, you know what, the Glazers will look and say, you know what, Pochettino's available, and they'll have their scout.
Pochettino's available. Allegri's been available for a few months now.
Yeah.
There's a few other managers that are available.
So will the Glazers always have their people that say, you know, there's a guy, maybe there's a guy who knows about football, and he says, you know what, right, go study Pochettino. Let me see what he's about. What has he done? Could they say to themselves, you know what, Glazers, again, let's forget this. The Cronkies have come out. They've said, you know what, it's not the style. They could say, you know what, we're actually 10th and we just won the league a couple of years ago. They could talk all that nonsense and we won the Europa League. Could they actually pull the plug and say, you know what, after the Tottenham game, if they lose to that one, and Mourinho, who they sacked, you know, just now, could the Glazers say, you know what, after that Tottenham game, if we draw, I said draw, I thought it was sacked, but if they were to lose against Tottenham, would they pull the plug in?
It's a good question. I think fact is, every time we don't win a match, we're falling behind.
Yeah.
Yeah? We're falling behind. We lost 2 points this weekend.
Easy.
We lost 2 points last weekend. That's 4 points.
Yeah.
Those 4 points could have had us in the top 5, 6.
Top 5.
Yeah.
Not far behind Chelsea, because Chelsea lost twice now.
Right. So, look, we always knew that this is a transition period, and we don't have the players. We knew that Woodward never backed Solskjaer properly. I'm sorry. We needed a defender. We got Maguire. We got Bissaka.
Yeah.
We needed a midfielder more than a
Yeah. More than anything.
Listen, we always needed a wing. Yeah, we always needed a winger.
Yeah.
But we needed a midfielder, which is much more a pressing position than we needed. We didn't get that position, right? So we always knew we were going to struggle. I think any proper supporter who knows his game will know that we're always going to struggle with a midfield that is light in options. You know, Pogba injured, McTominay injured at the same time. That was like disaster waiting to happen. You can't ask Fred to do a holding midfielder's position.
Yeah, true.
You can't ask Pereira to do that job. So sadly, whilst I reserve my opinion on these players as to how good they are, most of them would never make the top 4 teams.
Yeah, easy.
They would never make the starting lineup of the top 4 teams. Will any of our players get into Liverpool's team right now that we're on form?
No. Not at all.
Not a single one.
Not even
Maybe De Gea would challenge Alisson.
Yeah,
possibly.
I think they'll be happy. They'll be content with Alisson.
But you know, it'd be like I'd flip a coin between the two.
Oh, okay.
Right? It wouldn't be like the guy is so good. He's the guy who we have is less quality than the one we want to replace him with. But the point of this matter is we knew Solskjaer was going to struggle because he never had the players.
Yeah.
Right. But that we have to look and take in the context of the other teams that we're playing against. With or without the players that he was backed with or that he has, we still cannot compete and beat teams like Sheffield United, Crystal Palace, Southampton. We lost to them. We lost to who else did we lose to? Leicester. We lost to Leicester.
No,
we drew with
Leicester, I think.
We win Leicester.
Yeah, we win Leicester.
Okay, yeah.
But we're drawing a lot of games where we should have won.
Against Newcastle.
Bournemouth away.
What happened?
Newcastle away. Bournemouth away. Newcastle away.
You know, these are teams you should be beating.
Yeah.
With the squad we have. So.
What do the Glazers do now then? What do you think the Glazers are thinking right now, commercially?
Well, before we go to that, I think the question is, will they back Ed Woodward to sack Ole Gunnar Solskjaer? That's the first question. My view is, I think they rely quite heavily on Woodward to make those decisions. They're Americans, right? They may have learnt a few things about the game over the last years of owning the club.
Yeah.
But let's be real. They're not football people.
No.
Right? They're clueless about it. So they've got their man, who they've said, we trust you, Mr. Woodward. You're the executive vice chairman or chairman of Man United Football Club.
Yeah.
We rely on you to make all the decisions.
And he's doing it well financially.
No, I disagree with that.
Do you think so?
I disagree with that.
Are you looking at it as say where we were 140 million net debt now? More, it's increased.
So let me define, because I obviously I have a lot of background and experience in business, right? And I always equate football or sports to business.
Yeah.
Right? Man United, and I'll come back to this. We are Man United, right? We're like Coca-Cola basically in the football world.
Coca-Cola.
Right? You don't need to sell Coca-Cola because people know about it and they buy it.
Yeah.
Right? So the credit that Ed Woodward gets commercially for Man United is unwarranted. You know why? Because Man United, you only have to go to remote parts of Africa or to all parts of Asia. And I've been to these places. All these people know about Man United. Is it because of Ed Woodward? No, it's because of the brand. Because of Sir Alex Ferguson and the success we had in the 90s and the 2000s with Sir Alex. Winning creates a brand.
A dynasty.
A dynasty. So we have a legacy of success. People want to associate with success, right? And that also applies commercially.
Yeah.
Brands want to associate themselves with Man United. Not only because we're a popular team and we're very well supported in all corners of the globe.
Yeah.
You know, I think I was reading on a presentation deck. Actually, it's a commercial deck that Man United uses to attract sponsors.
Oh.
They reckon they commissioned a study to find out how many supporters Man United has got. No other club's done this, by the way. They've calculated or estimated that Man United is 640 million fans in the world. That's just under a billion. There's possibly more, but they didn't.
I think there's more.
Right? 640 million fans in the world. I also read an interesting, I think it was a Harvard Business Review study that said Apple, as a club, as a company, if you consider it as a club, has only, I think, 10, maybe 20 million customers, people who buy iPhones and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Or maybe I'm even underestimating, say 50 million,
Yeah.
right? They have 50 million fans, Apple, right? Man United is 600 million fans.
Wow.
Now let's look at the value of Apple as a club, as a company.
Yeah.
And let's look at the value of Man United as a club, as a company, right? So very simple. Apple's worth over $1 trillion. Man United's worth 3 billion. How do you say Ed Woodward's successful?
Yeah.
Because if you can't monetize 640 million fans and make your revenue at least, if your revenue was $1 per fan, you'd have 640 million revenue.
Yeah.
Man United's revenue has never been more than 400 million. Most of it comes
from
TV.
So why has his position never been reviewed?
Because he's a trusted guy. He's the guy that done the deal. He was the advisor, right, who done the deal with the Glazers. Something must have happened during the time when they done the deal.
So they kind of helped him buy the club.
Well, he helped them buy the club, and he must have been intelligent, smart enough to show them the financial engineering. Nothing more than I could do, because I can do that sort of stuff. M&A, it's classical basic financial engineering,
Yeah.
right? How do you buy this club with no money or little money? And that's what they did.
And they bought, how much did they buy it?
They bought it for about 600 million, of which they only put about 100 million in. When I say they didn't put, the money didn't come into Man United. They paid the shareholders.
Yeah.
The rest of it was in payment in kind notes and leverage,
Yeah.
debt. So what they do is they basically take the assets of Man United, they value it, and they say...
So that's where there comes a 1 billion out.
Correct. Well, it's a bit more detailed.
Yeah,
I won't go into that now, but the point is very simple. What it was is they used 100 million to buy a club that was worth 600 million. The rest of the money that they needed to pay all the people who owned the shares, that money, it was debt. That's the debt that Man United when they first started.
Yeah.
So literally, they bought a club with no money, or little money, right? To buy, it should never ever happen that you can buy something with less money than it's worth.
Yeah.
Right? And they did, because they managed to get the debt. But the fact is that the debt never went to them personally in their personal balance sheet. It came to Man United. They put the debt on Man United's balance sheet, which left us in a big problem, right?
Man.
So the question then is, who helped them do that?
Ed Woodward.
Ed Woodward, right? So Ed Woodward is like their general. He's their general. On
It's a right-hand man you could just never say.
Yeah, he's their right-hand man. He's one and the same as the Glazers, right? He backs them up, they back him.
Yeah.
It's this vicious cycle of.
So where's the plateau? Where's the kind of ending where Glazers can never see anything going further on?
I think they haven't seen it in at least 3 seasons of failure, because
when does the Adidas deal go? Do you think?
So first
now it's 75 million.
Yeah. So basically, Adidas are looking to renegotiate that deal. I think I read a report recently that Man United's negotiating with a company in China called Haier.
I've seen a picture of that.
Supposedly, it's going to be a world record shirt deal or a shirt sponsorship deal. I'm sorry, mate. Like, that's nothing special to me, because we're Man United
and China.
We're the most marketable football brand.
If they don't see United, they'll go run for it.
Exactly. I was in China about 2 months ago. I was in a trade show, for furniture and stuff, and I saw this brand Millie. It's a Chinese mattress brand.
And United.
Yeah. What are we doing getting sponsorship for?
Well, you look at it again. Lego. We've got a sponsorship now with that club.
What does it have to do
coffee?
with
coffee?
Milk Kita. Yeah, it's in the club.
The shaving.
I mean, it's ridiculous.
Well, are we a commercial club now?
Literally, we'll take money from anyone who gives it to us. It doesn't matter what their brand is or whether there's a connection between their brand and our brand values. It doesn't matter. The point is Ed Woodward really commercially successful? My opinion on that is he's not. He's actually selling something that doesn't need to be sold. So the fact that we are only marginally sometimes better than Real Madrid or Barcelona is shocking. The fact that clubs like Man City and Liverpool are actually catching up to us. They're catching up to us commercially and financially. It's shocking, because we had the head start. We should always be we should always be ahead of them. I was walking around yesterday, and I was even watching the game. This tells you a lot about our sense of aspiration, our sense of innovation at Man United. We don't even have screens to show us replays or to tell us when there's a VAR check going on.
No.
So you're sitting there as a fan, clueless, but what's happening?
Yeah.
Now you go to so many clubs, at least you know
Sheffield
what's
United,
going on.
they had one.
They have
Sheffield
one.
United.
Do you know what I'm saying? So why aren't we leading on that front? So that is what tells me more than, you talk about the commercial things.
And that's putting money into the footballing side. They're not putting money into the footballing side.
Well, everything's just stuck in 30 years behind. Everything's old school, archaic. It's overly traditional. Where is the technology? You can't even get a mobile phone signal properly inside of Old Trafford.
No.
One of the best states. Nothing. You can't, literally, if there's an emergency in that ground, you got a problem. You can't even call anyone.
No.
You can't send a text message. Nothing works, right? And you're sitting in Old Trafford. That is shocking. So when people talk to me about Ed Woodward's success as a financial, I don't buy into it. It's bullshit. He inherited an already successful brand, an already successful club, an already financially thriving business.
Yeah.
What has he done to add more to it?
No.
Nothing. So if you look and analyze all the commercial success since he took over, most of it is coming because the Premier League, the balloon payments, are always increasing year on year on year. So all our revenues that have been going up has been quite heavily to the TV rights and sponsorship rights. The commercial deals that we've been doing, he's just been prostituting the club as far as I'm concerned.
Wow.
Putting our club with every single Tom, Dick and Harry brand out there, and that doesn't speak volumes of commercial success. So you have the blind and the partially sighted, or the blind, and there's a saying that goes, the blind leading the partially sighted, right?
Yeah.
In the case of the Woodwards and the Glazers, it's a case of the blind leading the blind, right? Because the Glazers, with all due respect to them, they're blind in the football world. They know nothing about it. And then you bring a man who knows nothing about football to come in and run the club, and he's just as blind as them. So how do you expect change when you have this situation?
Talking about change, there's people called the Saudis.
Yep.
There's been talk, and I've been dying to know.
Yeah, so
to Saudis, are they coming? They've been trying to, wall us over by all these verified accounts on Twitter, all these meetings that have been happening. I think there was a Man United official that went over to Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
There was a couple of meetings. Do you reckon it's all, fantasy, or do you think there's still a belief that the Saudis could take over United?
Right, so I'm gonna let all of you into something that's it was quite under wraps for a few years, but I know because I was there. Part of the seed of that situation. If I may kind of put it out there. The United have always had a relationship with Saudi Arabia. Okay, they've always had a relationship. You have to look at the strategy for all of the Gulf nations, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Qatar. These nations are football crazy, right? They've got young, citizens, right? Or most, I think in Saudi Arabia, their 2030 vision says that at least 50 or 60% of their population is under the age of 30 or 25, something like that. It's ridiculous. Imagine more than half of your population are young people. What do young people like? They like sports and they like entertainment. So Vision 2030 was basically saying Saudi Arabia wanted to, as part of its transformative process, bringing more things to the people in Saudi Arabia. Most Saudi people, they travel for entertainment, they travel for sports.
Because
there's no options for them. So with the regime adjustments that are going on, MBS has been quite clear with his Vision 2030 in saying that, why are our people spending their money outside and elsewhere? Let's keep it inside the country, right?
And build something.
So that was part of where this all started. And when that happened, basically, I can say that there were approaches made.
To Man United?
No, it was the other way. It was proactive. There were approaches made as part of the strategy to basically get Saudi Arabia, their sovereign fund, to the General Sports Authority to basically acquire a footballing asset, something that would make their nation proud, make their citizens proud, something that they could aspire to. And so the idea was basically to develop a fund and to do this purchase, and that's where I guess it started. At exactly the same time, there were also negotiations about how could you develop sports in Saudi Arabia. So one of the initiatives was to improve the quality of football in Saudi Arabia, and I know the General Sports Authority and Man United signed an MOU to basically create Man United soccer schools. And that was, I think, 2016, 2017 when they did that.
Okay.
I don't think anything's happened since. I need to check on that, but as I understand, that was one of the ways into basically getting the relationship between Man United and Liverpool. But specifically on the case of will the Saudis buy Man United? One thing I can tell you is that if there was ever any club they were going to buy,
it'd be Man United.
It's Man United. You've got to understand the Saudi culture and the Saudi mentality. They want to be the best. They have to have the best. Dubai leads with that because they've set the benchmark so high. Dubai was the other place that we thought.
And then they went to.
No. You got to differentiate. So Dubai and Abu Dhabi are very different.
Yeah.
They're part of the same country. They're different. They're different states, I guess, if you want to call it that. But Dubai, ruled by Sheikh Mohammed, basically is different to Sheikh Mansour in Abu Dhabi. They're part of the same family, but they separate kind of like states, I would say. Right. So Dubai have refrained from buying any football assets. No governmental person, no royal family members own anything. So it was either Saudi Arabia or Dubai to come in and buy Man United, right? So we thought Saudi Arabia would be the natural place for Man United's ownership. The issue was that the Glazers don't really want to sell. That's part of
because of what kind of implication? Is it a price? Is it
price? Listen.
Are United too valuable?
No. It's the case of United are not valued what they want to receive for it, right? It's shocking the greed that's involved with this.
How much do they want?
The numbers that we heard was kind of around the 5 billion mark.
5 billion.
Yeah, between 4 and 5 is when they would start talking.
Wow.
But if you realistically kind of consider United's true valuation, United's proper financial true valuation is about 2 billion. 2 billion, right? But when you add the goodwill and the future potential for whatever it is,
so 3 billion.
3 billion.
Yeah.
3.5 billion.
Yeah.
That's what I think the Saudis would, because they're not, listen, they have loads of money. They can pay 5.
I'm not sure about 5 billion.
They could pay 5 billion quite easily. But they're not stupid. They don't want to make silly decisions. They don't want to be... Nobody likes to be mugged, basically.
Mugged, yeah.
And 5 billion is being mugged for Man United. Especially when you consider that Fenway Sports, who owns Liverpool, paid, I think, it was some ridiculous number, under $1 billion.
Yeah.
They bought them for under $1 billion, right? I was reading the other day, Sheffield United are owned by a Saudi prince.
They are.
Yeah. Sheikh Mossad, Prince Mossad.
Yeah.
Right. Mosaid, his name is Prince Mosaid. Bought him for 5 million. He put 10 million in investment. But he bought it for 5 million. There was a court case. Checking this out. So this guy also was I think once president of the General Sports Authority, which is the leading organization in Saudi Arabia that deals with all their big transactions in sports. So I know the now chairman of the General Sports Authority is actually quite a good guy. He's a young guy. I know that there's an interest for Man United. A transaction will only happen if two parties can come together and agree a sensible deal.
And you're saying that United have had no interest at all? United
have... They have been entertaining it, I think, because they want the relationship. Because remember, if shit hits the fan, excuse my language.
No.
But
no
if
rules.
shit hits the fan, they want to know that there's a parachute out of this thing. And the parachute out of this is having a good relationship with the Saudis. Because think about it, who's going to come in with 3 to 4 billion? That's a lot of money for anyone to pay.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money for anyone to pay for anything, right?
Yeah.
Some countries don't even have 3 or 4 billion to spend on their budget, their entire budget.
No.
So to ask for that for a football club is absolutely ludicrous, especially when all they put in when they bought this club was 100 million, 150 million
net
equity, payment in kind notes, you call it, net. That was it.
Yeah.
So to ask for an astronomical sum like 5 billion is ridiculous. I think if they were sensible and they said 2.5 to 3 billion, right now the Saudis would take their hands off for it. That's what I feel.
Just going on to this kind of like final note, what will, for you, make the Glazers sell? If you were to just say it, what would you? Will it be not being in the Champions League for a while, selling our best players, and they decide to leave, or worst case scenario, relegated?
Right. So remember, we've got to think of how, we need to think and understand how they think.
Yeah.
For them, Man United is a cash cow,
Yeah.
and it's all about value.
Yeah.
So the only thing that will hurt them is the value of the club.
Yeah.
The value of the club is dependent on how we perform.
Yeah.
Right? How we perform affects everything. The value of the club is determined by quite a number of factors. Performance, Champions League appearances, winning tournaments, winning trophies.
Yeah.
These are the things that have made the value in Man United. It's what made us so valuable.
Yeah.
Right? Let's not forget how we became valuable. So if you backtrack all of that and you want to understand what's going to make them sell, is the fear and threat that where the offers that they're currently getting is going to be diluted so much because of perceived value of the club, because of us losing fan base. Remember, young kids growing up now are watching Man City, Liverpool playing. These are the supporters of the future. How we became supporters, we were young kids once upon a time, watching an amazing swashbuckling team, trashing teams 4-0. Aston Villa, I was saying to someone yesterday, was a 4-0 team.
Easy.
You could guarantee 4-0 that you were going to put against them, right? The point I'm trying to make here is that once the perceived value of Man United drops so badly, and those things are relegation, you mentioned it, you mentioned not consistently appearing in Champions League, it's losing, players don't want to come to us, empty stadiums. Yesterday I was telling someone, Man United is football Disneyland. That's what it is. Football Disneyland. Regardless how bad we're playing, even if we were playing in the Championship, you'll still have a full stadium.
Easy.
You know why? Because people come to Old Trafford as a pilgrimage. It's pilgrimage for them. Do you understand?
Crazy.
So I was seeing like a Malaysian couple sitting in front of me thinking these guys must have spent about 1,000, 2,000 pounds to take their flights from Malaysia to hotel bookings, trains, food, everything for a trip to come to the UK to watch Man United play.
Draw.
And that's how they played.
Yeah.
So the point is, the fans need to stay away. Arsenal fans are doing that recently.
Yeah.
Empty stadiums.
Will that ever happen at United though?
Probably not.
No.
Probably not.
And that's not disrespect to the people.
The Stretford End is quiet for one game, empty for one game. Trust me, the cameras are always on the club. Always on the club. Every journalist will pick up that the Stretford End was empty. So if those die-hard Man United fans really love the club...
Well, who will win though? That's the problem.
Who would win?
Are we losing in the sense of we're giving into the Glazers and we're not fighting? We support United, we don't support the Glazers.
Listen. Sometimes you have to sacrifice a lot to get where you want to go in your life or in a situation, right? If you have a cancer in your body and it's affecting a part of your body, you've got to take that part out, right? Otherwise, you're going to die.
Yeah.
So in the case of us as Man United, as a club, we have a cancer at the heart of our club.
Yeah.
There's no way that we can not suffer some pain without seeing a long-term sustainable future. The point I'm trying to make is pretty simple. We have to cause ourselves some pain. We have to sacrifice not going to matches, showing our dissent for the way the club's been run.
Yeah.
Right? Only then will the media will pick it up, because listen, the games are shown live across the world. When the commentators say, what's going on? Like the club's empty. Stretford End is empty. It will cause a panic within the board. They will have to act. They will have to act. Right now, it's a very nepotistic board, meaning they all support each other. Everyone is okay with the mediocre, mundane style of football we're playing. As long as the money keeps flowing, everyone's happy. We've got players. There's 11 guys to make up a team. No one cares. The money is flowing. It's going to take 2, 3, 4 years. But the problem in 2, 3, 4 years' time, Saeed, is we would be so far behind.
It would be scary.
It would be very scary.
And you'd have teams like maybe, Leicester, Wolves.
Leicester, look at Leicester, Wolves. These are clubs. Wolves were just playing in the Championship a few years ago. And look where they are, consistently
Leicester,
in the top 7. Leicester won the Premier League a few years. It should never happen. No, I'm glad that they happened. I'm glad it happened because it meant neither Liverpool, Spurs, or Man City are starting to build up titles, right? Remember, we're sitting there on 20. When next are we ever going to get to 21, 22? I don't even see it in 5 years' time. The only thing that will change that, it has to come from the top.
Yeah.
You change the ownership. Once the ownership changes, you'll have a new chairman, CEO, right? That person has to be a football person.
Yeah.
Has to be a football person. You can't go into retail business
if you don't know anything about retail.
And be a guy that's your last job, you were running an energy company. Look, I'm not saying you can't learn.
But you'd be out of your depth.
You'd be out of your depth to start with. Football's a very specific.
That's a common theme with United. But everyone's out of their depth.
Listen, if I were Ed Woodward, I know I don't know everything about football, but I'm smart enough to know that I need to surround myself with the best.
Yeah.
Because I have the money to pay the best and to afford the best.
Yeah.
But what's Ed Woodward doing? A year, December 2017, he gave Mourinho a new contract, only to sack him 12 months later. How silly was that? To pay him £20 million. Now you tell me he's successful commercially. He gives Phil Jones a new contract.
Yeah.
He gave Ashley Young a new contract. Marcus Rowe, Mata a new contract. I was reading an article this morning, very quickly, just to finish, where he's justifying why he gave these players contracts. He almost believes his own bullshit, this guy. He really does. He bought players and sold them for less than he bought them. Fellaini was where you got the first red flag of this guy. Fellaini. 26 million he was available for, 20 something million when Moyes just came in. We didn't take him at that lower price. We waited for his buyout clause to expire, and then we paid 30, 31. Yeah, that's it. We paid 5. This is a guy who thinks Man United's money is paper money.
Crazy.
Do you understand? So, what's going to change all this is very simple. We need it to happen from the top. If it doesn't happen from the top, it's a vicious cycle. It's just going to keep going. It's the definition.
What do you hope for?
My hope is that we get new owners. My hope is really that we get new owners.
And in your kind of, opinion, just to finish it off, what percentage do you think the Saudis will come, percentage-wise?
I think it's...
Honestly?
I think it's 50-50.
50-50.
At this stage, it's 50-50 because the pricing is wrong. But I think as long as... And as soon as they Man United continue performing badly, that value will drop. As the value drops, the Glazers will get panicked. They'll be like, we may as well just take what we're getting and leave, because the fans will start to see continuous mediocrity. The fans will continue to see the shit that's happening at Ed Woodward's. He's just kind of festering toxicity and poor decision making that's causing us to fail.
Yeah.
Now, one last thing that I want to say before we end, this is a very, very, very important point that I want to make. To anyone who thinks and says we're a club in transition, we should expect this, right? That's something I say I don't agree with, and I'll tell you why. Real Madrid are a club in transition, right? Inter Milan were a club in transition.
Big
right?
one.
These are
top of the league.
Yeah, Inter Milan. I'm trying to think of other clubs in transition, but they're definitely I'm looking at the top few leagues, right? There were a few clubs that were in transition. I use Real Madrid because they're the only ones we can say it's an apple for apple comparison. In fact, they're more successful than us in both leagues and Champions League. But let's just say, just on their global status, they're an equal, like-for-like club that we can compare ourselves with. They have gone through ups and downs, playing Galacticos style strategy, like football manager strategy, kamikaze, maverick-like presidents who want the best, and or sacking managers when they win the Champions League but don't win La Liga, they sacking managers, right? They have never fallen so badly.
Never.
And come out like not qualifying for Champions League during that transition period.
Never.
Do you understand?
That shows to you.
Dude, that just shows you how much we have fallen.
Yeah.
Transition period for a club like us should be, we don't win a league.
Minimum year or...
You're coming second, third, you're challenging for the league, but you're just not there because new manager, players not right, some players are coming to the end of their careers, you're bringing new players in. Our transition period is not a transition period. Ours is a fall from grace. Being at the top of pinnacle of English football like we were for over 20 years, and to be now struggling to make top. Before we started we said top 6, now we're saying top 10. Dude, we gotta get used to mid-table football. Ed Woodward is mid-table man.
Samir, it's been a pleasure.
Yes,
hope you enjoyed this podcast, guys. That's been an insight into the Glazers, the Saudis, and just about United, really. And it's very fascinating what you said about Ed Woodward and how really he's not making a difference in terms of money, which I thought really it was, and that's what was keeping the Glazers happy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think just to like wrap up and to say that like people should just look out more. You know, be curious. Like you can easily find and look at Man United's financials by just doing a Google search. Right? Company's house. You can see it. You go onto the investor relations section on Man United's website. You get all their reports, all their because they have to report it, right? The beautiful thing about what the Glazers.
But who really looks at it?
Nobody. But if you want, you can look at it. So I think you and I should keep talking because every time there's a report, we can do an analysis.
Yeah, we can do.
And you want
that'll
to be
a little side to this channel, and hopefully it improves. But yeah, guys, if you enjoyed this podcast, it's been a bit different, but I've enjoyed this chat with Samir. I think it's been insightful. If you've enjoyed this video, like the video, subscribe to United Central. We're nearly at 10k, guys. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. We're the biggest growing podcast on Man United. You know what I mean? I'm hoping you're enjoying the content we're bringing to you, and we're just hoping United to get better. But like the video, subscribe to United Central. Thanks, Samir, for joining us.
Take it easy.
Thanks for, honestly.
And all the best for Wednesday night, yeah?
D-Day for Ollie. If it wasn't D-Day for Ollie on Sunday, well, Mourinho
I think it's D-Day. I think it's D-Day.
I think Mourinho could close the curtains for Ollie, and that'll be it.
Nail in the coffin.
See you later, guys. Take care.
Cheers.